Hey friends, welcome and thank you so much for joining with me. My name is Chris, otherwise sometimes known as the Earthborn Alchemist, otherwise sometimes known as Hey You. So check it out, I want to share with you all this really cool game it's mind-blowing when you think about it. And I'm gonna paint this scenario, like I'm gonna create this visual in your mind so we can really get immersive in this. So if you feel like it, shut your eyes and just go with this. Like take a breath and just go with this. So I want you to imagine that there's this giant stadium, right? It's this really cool giant stadium. And in the stadium, there's this game unfolding in the middle. Now, the game has two teams. Obviously, one team is playing against the other. Now, the thing with this game is one of the teams actually wrote the rules of the game. They came up with the rules of the game. And the other team, they don't necessarily even know the full rules, let alone have any input into the rules. So both teams are playing. One team is winning very successfully and the other team is kind of struggling at the game. Right? And the reason that they're struggling at the game is because they don't really understand the rules fully. Don't really have a grasp of the full understanding of the rules. Just give me 1 second as I refresh this so that I can see your comments. All right, very cool. Yeah, so you can already see how the game is kind of rigged so that those people that are setting the rules of the game, those that are determining how the game is played and not really letting the other side know how the game is played, they're the one, like you can see how there's a seriously unfair advantage. The rules of the game have been rigged to create favor for the team that created the rules, created the game, right? So you see how that works. Now, what I want you to imagine is that what I've just described is actually the process of life. It's not just a game. Well, it is. It's a game. It's the game of life. But the reality is what I've just described is the process of life. It's what's happening in the world right now. It's what's always happened in the world. There is this whole understanding of the game by, you want to call them the 1%, you want to call them corporate elite, you call them whatever you want. You probably refer to them as the patriarch, call them whatever you want. But the fact of the matter is, there is this elite group of people on the planet that are absolutely excelling at the game, and that's because they're determining the rules of the game. Now, what I want you to understand is that in working with this knowledge that there is a game unfolding inside a stadium, which is Earth, where we're here on we're here within this stadium, and we're all playing this game. 99% of us are put into the game without being told the rules. We're put into the game and we have to play it the best we can. We have to kind of pick it up. Now, everything about the game is geared to help the 1% win the game. And they're winning very well, time and time again. The schooling system, the way that corporations run, the way the tax system works, all of it is geared specifically to help the 1%. So there's two teams. One team is the 1%, the other team is everyone else. You, me, everyone else. We all fit into that other team, right? So there's two teams playing each other on this giant game. Now, when you think about it, every single thing from the time you set foot on the field is rigged in the favor of the 1%, the other team, right? What you don't yet realize is that the stadium itself it's a quantum stadium. What does that mean? It's a cool way of saying the stadium responds to what you're thinking and feeling. So you can actually, at any point, become a master designer of your own life, literally by changing the rules of the game. It's almost like imagine yourself in a game of basketball, right? And you've got these rules and the other team is just a superior team. You don't fully understand the rules. Hey Julie, thanks for joining, sister. You don't fully understand the rules of the game. You're playing a game of basketball. You're playing it against a pro NBA team. And they're just killing you every stretch of the way because you're trying to play by their rules and they just keep taking the ball and scoring against you. And then you just decide, I don't have to play by these rules. I can play a different game entirely. So you pick up the ball and you don't bounce it, you don't dribble it, you just run the ball down the end and then you climb up a ladder and put it in the hoop. You put a ladder on there and you climb, and the other team's like, what just happened? Like, how is that the game we're playing right now? That's hey Christine, welcome, thanks for joining. That's kind of what's happening here in life. There's some of us that are starting to wake up to the idea that we can determine the rules of our own game, because what we are here to experience is our own experience. The experience doesn't belong to someone else, and we don't have to play by the rules of somebody else's experience. So when we arrive onto the field, we're in this quantum stadium and we're playing this game, right? And the thing that we understand, hey Pete, welcome brother. The thing that we need to start awakening to is that as long as we play by the rules of the game as they've been currently determined, we're always going to be shit on. We're always going to have less advantage than the team that wrote the rules, that understand the rules perfectly. The team that said this is the way to play. So what we need to start doing is thinking about ways outside of those boxes that we've been living in, outside of those energetic grids, outside of those, constructs that say this is how the game has to be played. We have to start thinking outside of that. And a perfect example is a game of basketball. All of a sudden one player picks up the ball, tucks it under his arm and just charges down the court, puts a ladder in place, climbs up and puts it through the hoop. The computer still classifies that as a score. It still says, okay, you've just got the ball through the hoop. It doesn't care how you did it. That's how this world works, right? Because this is a quantum universe that we're living in. This world will respond to your thoughts and your feelings. And at the moment, your thoughts and your feelings have been heavily influenced and swayed by the rules of the game as determined by somebody else that wants to win the game. So you're playing the game in order to benefit somebody else. And you're a master at it. You're super good at it because you're still doing it. They're really good at getting you to play by their rules, and you're really good at playing by their rules. And every so often somebody clues into this fact and says, you know what? There has to be a better way to play this game. And when that happens, there's no referee that calls you out. That's the fucking crazy thing. On the game of life in this quantum stadium called Earth, there's no referee that calls you out for picking the ball up and doing something crazy with it. The more abstract you can think, the crazier you can think, the more out there you can think about how to get that ball to the end zone and into the goal, whatever that looks like for you, the better your chances of winning the game. As long as you keep trying to play by the rules that have already been determined as to how the game should be played, and you're following the rules, the less chance you have of actually getting the ball to the end zone, the less chance you have of actually scoring. So you wake up one day and you realize, shit, I have depression. Very close to my heart because I lived with that for fucking 20 years, clinical medicated depression. And the rules of the game say, you're depressed, here's the drugs, deal with it, right? Doesn't work for me. I'm not going to be able to score like that. I can't score with my hands tied behind my back. I can't score with one leg cut off. I can't score with a head cold and no energy. So I have to change the rules. The rules say that once you have something like this, it's a chemical imbalance and you'll always have it. I call bullshit on that. The fact of the matter is, you can change the rules. You just have to do it by starting to think outside the box, start thinking creatively, start approaching it from a different way. And it's not that hard to do when you condition and train yourself to do it. That's what this is all about. Now, do you guys ever take a word and break the word down and actually look at the meaning hidden within the word based on the composition of the word? I do it all the time. I love doing this. It's something I really enjoy because there's so much hidden within the common words we use, right? And when you think about that, it truly gives credibility to the idea of spelling. Like when we speak, we are spelling. We're spelling out words. We are creating spells. We are creating magic with our words. Now, here's another way that the rules of the game are rigged against you. Hidden within words are meanings based on the composition of the word that you never even knew were there, right? And one word I want to draw attention to today, one word in particular, is the word discover. Let's throw it out there. What does the word discover mean to you? Now, I realize there's a lag, so it's going to take a minute for this to come back. And Pete, love the analogy. Thank you, brother. I really appreciate that. For those of you that are watching right now, what does the word discover mean to you? What does it mean? Does it conjure up the idea of faraway shores, traveling? Is it like a word search puzzle where you're trying to find words? Is it looking for truths in a library, or trying to find a particular book on a shelf, or what does it mean? What does it mean to you? Let's break the word down, and y'all can just answer in your own discretion. Go for it. Let's break the word down. Discover. The truth is covered, right? It's shrouded. When we enter the game under this shroud, and everything that we interact with is covered. And what we do when we're literally discovering the truth is we are discovering that truth. We're taking the cover off. We're revealing it for what it is. Right? So when you go through the process of discovery, you are discovering the shroud from what it is that you're looking at. Now we're talking about the rules of the game. Understand that as you enter the field of life in this quantum stadium called Earth, what you're actually doing is you're entering into a game where the rules are covered. You don't know what the rules are. You're programmed to the rules, but you are taught the rules by the person who wrote them, whose best interest is keeping them kind of a little bit shady so that you keep losing the game. Discover something new, never seen before. That's what it means to you. Very cool. And exactly that. That's exactly what it means. But I love the analogy of, I love being able to break the word down into its components and creating a visual around that, because our mind and the universe doesn't work in terms of English language. It doesn't work in terms of French or Spanish or German. It doesn't work in terms of any language. It doesn't work in letters and numbers. It works in visuals. So if you could take a word and make a visual from it, you're going to gain so much more power from that word. Now think about it. If I say pink elephant, do you have in your mind P-I-N-K space E-L? No, you don't. You have this giant fucking pink elephant in your mind. That's how your mind works, and that's how you communicate with the universe. So why then try and get hung up on the idea that a word needs to be spelt this way, and this is what it looks like, and this is how the letters are formed, when you could take the word and create a visual from it? Right? It's so much more powerful. Discovery. You're literally pulling the shroud off. It's like you've gone into someone's, garage, and there's this shape under this cover, and you grab the cover and you pull it off, and you realize that it's a classic 1973 GDHO Falcon under there that's fully restored and it's ready for the taking. Whatever car it is, it's your classic dream car, is under this cover. You've discovered it. You've taken the cover off. It's the same thing in life. So you enter the field of life. You're here in this quantum stadium of Earth, playing the game, and from the time that you are thrust into the school system, you're taught the rules of the game by people who wrote the rules, whose best interest it is in you not knowing the rules fully or properly or understanding the game, so that you can always lose the game to them. That's just the facts. This is not a conspiracy theory, friends. There's a reason why you struggle week to week to pay your rent. There's a reason why you're in work 40 hours a week, 80 hours a week, whatever you work. There's a reason you draw a salary and pay taxes, because the rules of the game are rigged for you to do that. But here's where it gets really interesting. All you actually need to do is start thinking outside of the box. How am I going to carry the ball to the end zone and score? How am I going to win this game? Because there's no referee on the game of life. None. That's why they can get away with writing the rules and changing them as they see fit. Well, why can't you do that too? You totally can, except for the fact that they programmed you to tell you you couldn't. You see how this works? It's almost ridiculous when you think about it. You're a game master. You just create the game you want to play and play it. And they may say, hey, you're crazy, you're insane, there's a few labels that might get dropped in there. Who gives a shit? If you're enjoying the game, you're having fun, you're playing it and you're winning it, who cares what they call you? And maybe, just maybe, down the track, you'll be called a genius for the way that you chose to live your life. Wouldn't that be beautiful? Wouldn't it be beautiful if somebody looked back on your time here in the game and said, he or she, they were a fucking genius. Look at what they achieved. Even if you don't want the fame, irrelevant. Wouldn't that just be nice to have somebody look at what you've achieved here on Earth and say at some point, even if it's 500 years in the future, they were a fucking genius. Look at the way they chose to play the game. Look at how they lived their life. Pete Sargent, welcome, brother. Hey, Nikki, thanks for joining. So let's take a moment and go through this process of discovery. Pulling the cover off, removing the shroud, understanding that you're writing the rules to your own game. You don't have to play by the rules because there's no referee telling you to do so. What would your life look like if you could look like whatever you wanted it to? What would your life look like or include if it could include anything at all? If you weren't bound by the current rules, if you weren't living within the current grid of reality, what would your life look like? Let me ask you this. Do you even allow yourself to imagine that? Do you give yourself the space to, or is it too painful? Is it too disconnected? You know, because one of the things it's telling me my life was disconnected. Here we go, I'm back. One of the things that I know I've done a lot in my life, and I'm sure a lot of you have done in your life, is not even allowing yourself to imagine how amazing your life could be, because it feels too unreachable. It feels too unobtainable, and then it becomes too painful. There's too much of a pain point there for you when you think about that. So you don't even allow yourself to think about it. You just put your head down and you grind on through. Right? Have you done that? Are you guilty of that? I'm owning that shit. I know I'm guilty of that. Not even allowing yourself the space to dream. Knowing full well, or you may not have known full well right up until this minute, but knowing full well that the stadium we're playing this game on, this place called Earth, is a quantum stadium. It responds and changes based on what you think and how you feel about what you think, right? It absolutely does. That's how you create your life. At the moment, for many of us, creating based on the program that we were given, within the grid that we're living in, playing by the rules against the team that wrote the rules, that wrote them to win. That's where most of us are at. So let's talk about that. You're playing on a stadium that is designed to change based on what you think and feel. And what you're thinking and feeling literally is all about the current rules. So it just keeps refreshing itself based on those current rules. Does that ring a bell? Does that feel familiar? Do you feel that when I say that and you connect with it? Does that make sense? So what does that look like for us? What do we actually have to start doing to change the score? How do we change the game? We work with the system. The system is designed as a quantum system. It's designed to change and shift based on your thoughts, your perception, and how you feel about what you see. That's it. But here's the PowerPoint, right? I don't mean the Microsoft software. Here is the point of power. The system does not differentiate between what you're looking at and what you're looking at inside. It does not. So if you're looking at something, right, you're looking at the world, you're looking outwards and you're looking at something and that's what you're seeing and you're feeling some type of way about it, the system responds to that and it gives you more of it. We're all masters at creating that. We're all masters at creating what we don't want because we're so good at looking what we don't want. It's a survival mechanism. I don't want to get eaten by that tiger in the bush over there, so I'm going to keep my eyes on it. Tiger, 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 until we get eaten by the tiger. We're all masters at creating what we don't want because we're conditioned to constantly focus on what we don't want. However, the system that we live in here, this quantum stadium of Earth, does not understand the difference between what you're looking at in your mind and what you're looking at in reality. So when you don't allow yourself to actually lay down or sit down and visualize how amazing your life could be, when you don't allow yourself to just go away on flights of fancy, when you don't allow yourself to sit in your office cubicle or your apartment or wherever you are and imagine yourself on that beach with the beautiful white sand and the palm trees blowing softly in the warm afternoon trade winds and your 65-foot yacht anchored just offshore and it's an isolated island. You're there with the perfect person. You're there drinking coconuts and You know, or when you don't allow yourself that experience, all you're looking at is what is. And this quantum stadium is responding to that. It's giving you more of what is. Because that's all it thinks you want. That's all it sees you looking at. But see, it can see inside and outside of you. It sees you looking outside the world at your bills, at your taxes, at your empty bank account, at your toxic relationships, at your failing business. It sees you looking at that, and it's like, cool, you've got your eyes fixed so firmly on that, that must be what you want. And it gives you more of it, more of it, more of it. When it sees you constantly connecting inside and looking within at the beautiful landscape of what you actually want in life, and there's no emotional hang-ups, there's only a feel good from that. I'm laying there and I'm feeling good about where I could be in life. When you feel that, when you truly feel that, you connect with that and you do that all the time, the universe is like, all right, I see what you're looking at here. You're looking at this beautiful tropical beach and a 65-foot yacht and unlimited money in your bank account. You're looking at all of that. Here's the way to achieve it. Away you go. You start getting inspiration to act in a very particular way. It comes to you. And then you do it, you take the action, it opens the gateway, and then the universe is like, here you go. That's how it works, friends. This cover. Take the cover off the reality here. You don't have to play the game by the rules that have been laid forth for you to play the game by. You can pick the ball up and run it however you want. You can pick the ball up and fly to the end zone if you decide to fly to the end zone. There's nothing that says that you can't, except what you believe. It's as simple as that. Have an amazing day. I'm going to leave it at that. Go away and think about what your perfect life looks like. And then next time when we jump into this, what I'm going to talk about next time, I'm going to talk about why so many of us, when we get that clear vision of what we want, still can't create it. That's going to be a powerful one. Probably do that tomorrow. Have a beautiful day.